In the quiet Bavarian countryside, surrounded by endless fields and thick forests, stood a lonely farmhouse. It was called the Hinterkaifeck, a name that to this day sends chills down the spines of those who know the story. In 1922, something unthinkable happened there. 6 people were murdered. The killer, or killers, were never found. And what's worse, the murderer may have stayed in the house for days afterward, living among the bodies. This is the haunting mystery of the Hinterkaifeck murders. The Gruber family lived a quiet, isolated life. Andreas Gruber, 63, was a stern and often difficult man. His wife Kazilla, 72, helped him manage the small family farm. Their widowed daughter, Victoria Gabriel, lived with them, along with her 2 children, 7-year-old Kazilla Jr. and 2-year-old Joseph. They were ordinary people, hard-working, private, and like many in rural Germany after the First World War, they lived simply, far from the chaos of the cities. But neighbors whispered that life on the farm wasn't peaceful at all. Andreas had a reputation, not just for being harsh, but for something much darker. Rumors of incest between Andreas and his daughter Victoria spread through the village. Both had once been convicted for it. By 1922, people kept their distance, and yet strange things began to happen on the farm. It began with footsteps in the attic. Days before the murders, the family told neighbors they heard sounds above them at night, slow, deliberate steps. Andreas searched the attic, but found nothing. Then a newspaper appeared in the house, one from Munich, even though no one in the family subscribed to it. Keys went missing. Footprints were found in the snow, leading to the farmhouse, but none leading away. Andreas mentioned it to a few people. He even considered leaving, but in a time and a place where pride and stubbornness ran deep, he stayed. It was that decision that would seal the family's fate. On March 31st, 1922, the family went about their day as usual. Sometime that evening, the killer made their move. We don't know exactly how it happened. 4 members of the family, Andreas, Kazilla Sr., Victoria, and young Kazilla, were lured one by one into the barn. Each was struck in the head with a mattock, a farming tool. The blows were precise, brutal, and final. Inside the house, the maid, Maria Baumgartner, was murdered in her room. 2-year-old Joseph was found dead in his cot. 6 lives ended in one night, but the horror didn't stop there. When the family didn't attend church or school, neighbors grew concerned. By April the 4th, several men went to check the property. What they found was beyond comprehension. The barn was eerily quiet. When they moved the hay, they saw the bodies, stacked neatly, partially covered. Inside, the rest of the victims were discovered. But here's the most disturbing part. The animals had been fed, the fireplace had been used, smoke still lingered in the air, and the food had been eaten. Someone had been living in the house for days after the murders. The killer had stayed. Police from Munich arrived, overwhelmed by the scene. Autopsies were performed right there in the barn. Heads were later removed and sent for analysis, though bizarrely, they were lost during the World War. The investigation turned into chaos. Over 100 suspects were questioned. Neighbors, former lovers, even drifters, but every lead crumbled. Some believed Victoria's late husband had survived the war and returned for revenge. Others thought a local man obsessed with Victoria had snapped. There were even whispers of a hired assassin, yet nothing ever fit perfectly. Whoever killed the Grubers seemed to know the farm and the family intimately. And then there was the attic. Police found evidence that someone had been living there, possibly for weeks before the murders, watching, listening, and waiting. As the years passed, theories grew darker. Some said the killer was a farmhand seeking revenge. Others claimed Andreas himself had enemies because of his past. In 2007, a team of German investigators re-examined the case with modern techniques. They concluded the murderer was someone likely from the local area, someone known to the family. But with no surviving evidence, the case remains officially unsolved. The farm was demolished in 1923. All that remains now is a small memorial tucked away in the woods where Hinterkaifeck once stood. Visitors still report feeling uneasy there, as if the silence carries the echoes of that terrible night. 6 people, one night, no answers. The Hinterkaifeck murders are more than just an unsolved crime. They're a glimpse into how isolation, fear, and darkness can consume even the most ordinary of places. Perhaps the truth was buried with the victims, or perhaps somewhere, someone knew and chose not to say anything.